I let my friends move in with me, and they quietly took over my life. I didn't realize I had become the villain in my own life until someone I barely knew asked me if I was getting help. Not if I was okay. Not what happened. Help! That's when I understood how far the story had already traveled without me. I was the one with the apartment. That detail matters more than anything else, because without it, none of this works. I had just signed a lease on a 2-bedroom near campus. It wasn't luxury. It wasn't Instagram perfect, but it was clean, safe, and mine. My name was the only one on the paperwork. My credit, my responsibility. My space. I was proud of it in a quiet way. I didn't post about it much. I didn't throw a housewarming party. I just liked knowing I could lock the door and breathe. My friends knew, though. They always know. At first it was admiration, compliments, jokes about how grown I was. How they'd never survive on their own like that. They treated my apartment like proof that I had my life together. That admiration lasted right up until they needed something. One night, one of them called crying. She said things were bad at home. Wouldn't explain exactly how. Just said she needed a break. Needed space. Needed somewhere safe. I said yes without thinking. Another friend asked a few days later if she could crash for a bit. Said her roommate situation was toxic. Said she'd barely be around anyway. Then another joked, half serious, "Guess we're all moving in with you now." We laughed. I didn't realize that was the moment it stopped being a joke. The first week felt temporary. Suitcases by the wall. Sleeping on the couch. Apologies for being in the way. Thank you texts. Promises it wouldn't be long. I told myself this was what good friends did. By week 2, their stuff had spread. Shoes multiplied by the door. Makeup bags on the counter. Food in the fridge I didn't buy but somehow wasn't allowed to touch. Music playing when I wasn't home. They stopped asking. They started assuming. By week 3, they referred to the apartment as ours. That word made my stomach tighten, but I didn't correct them. I didn't want to be difficult. The shift was subtle at first. They started sitting together on the couch, bodies angled away from me. Conversations paused when I entered the room. Plans made that I wasn't invited to, in the living room, 5 feet from me. When I spoke, they'd exchange looks. Not obvious looks. The kind you could deny if called out. I told myself I was projecting. That I was tired. That I was being insecure. Then I came home early one day. I heard them before I saw them. One of them laughed and said, "She acts like this place is some kind of shrine." Another replied, she does think she's better than us." The first said, "Give it time. She'll crack." I stood there, keys in my hand, heart pounding so loud I thought they'd hear it. I didn't confront them. I walked in like everything was normal. They smiled, bright, friendly, too friendly. That was the first time I felt unsafe in my own apartment. They started pushing boundaries on purpose. Eating my food without asking. Borrowing clothes. Moving my things by accident. I'd look for something and find it in their room. When I mentioned it, they laughed. "Relax. You're so tense lately. You always assume the worst." They said it so often I started to believe it. The money conversation was where everything cracked. Utilities had doubled. Groceries vanished. Cleaning supplies ran out constantly. I was paying for everything and pretending it was fine. One night I finally said something. I kept my voice calm. I even rehearsed it in my head beforehand. "Hey, since you're staying longer, we should probably split costs." The silence was instant. One of them sighed like I'd deeply offended her. "So it's about money." Another crossed her arms. "Wow, I didn't think you were like that." "Like what?" I explained myself. Or tried to. Every sentence made things worse. They accused me of keeping score, of being controlling, of holding the apartment over their heads. I ended up apologizing. I still don't know how that happened. After that, the disrespect stopped being subtle. They invited people over constantly. Strangers sat on my couch like they belonged there. Someone used my bedroom mirror while I was at work. They didn't ask. They didn't warn me. They didn't care. When I finally said something, firmly this time, they exchanged looks. "There it is," one of them muttered. "There what?" I asked. "That tone," she said. "That's what we're talking about." Talking about what? They started labeling my reactions. If I was calm, I was passive-aggressive. If I was upset, I was unstable. If I said nothing, I was manipulative. Every response became proof. They said they felt uncomfortable around me. In my own apartment, the rumors started quietly. A mutual friend asked if everything was okay between us. Another said they heard I was going through something. I brushed it off until someone asked me directly if I was safe to live with. That's when I found out what they'd been saying. According to them, I was paranoid. Emotionally volatile. Obsessed with control. They said they were scared to talk to me because I'd explode. They had screenshots. Messages where I asked about money. Texts where I said I needed space. Moments where I sounded frustrated. All framed as evidence of instability. They said they were worried about me. Worried enough to stay. I tried to confront them. I should have known better. One started crying immediately. Loud, dramatic sobs. Another accused me of gaslighting them. The third said quietly, "This is exactly what we meant." Meant what? I felt like I was underwater. Like nothing I said reached the surface intact. I told them I needed them to leave. The room went cold. "You can't just kick us out," one said. "After everything we've been through," another added. They acted betrayed. I gave them 2 weeks. They retaliated instantly. They stopped cleaning entirely, left messes on purpose, played music late at night, invited people over constantly. They posted vague captions online. Funny how power changes people. Some friends only care when they're in control. Living with someone who needs help is exhausting. People commented in support. I stayed silent. That made it worse. Silence became guilt. I overheard them again near the end. One said, laughing, "She won't actually do anything. She's scared of looking bad." Another replied, "And if she does, we already told everyone she's unstable." That was it. I walked in and said calmly, "You have 7 days." They stared at me like I'd broken some unspoken rule. The next week was brutal. They tried to turn everyone against me, told their story louder, played victims harder. But this time I had proof. The lease. The timeline. The messages. Quietly, people started noticing inconsistencies. Not everyone believed me. Enough did. They moved out together. Still friends. Still laughing. Still calling me crazy. Sometimes I wonder if they were right. If I should have been kinder, quieter, more accommodating. Then I remember standing in my own hallway, listening to them plan how to erase me. And I stopped wondering. So tell me, was I wrong for kicking them out? Or was I just the last one to realize they'd already decided I didn't belong?